Our top story tonight on Gravitas is on a class of weapons that could prove to be a game changer, to say the least. What exactly are gravity bombs and why is America pushing forward with their development? Is this the new face of nuclear warfare? That's coming up in just a bit, and here's a look at what else is lined up for you on the show tonight. With the 26/11 Mumbai attacks accused Chiharu Rana extradited to India, we tell you all that you need to know. We get you the latest on the tariff war between the US and China and where things are possibly headed between the world's two largest economies. All this and more coming up.
We have weaponry that nobody has any idea what it is, and it is the most powerful weapons in the world that we have. We have weaponry that nobody...
Our top focus tonight in a stark reminder of the enduring threat of nuclear conflict. The United States is pushing forward with the development of gravity bombs. What exactly are they? A class of weapons so destructive that they could reshape the face of war. Our next report telling you all that you need to know.
As wars rage in Ukraine and West Asia, global tensions are invading new frontiers. The world is bracing for a new chapter in the drama of power and deterrence. As nations flex their military muscle, the spectre of nuclear weapons casts a long shadow. An ever-present reminder of the devastating potential lurking beneath international relations. The US has been quietly weaving a new thread into its nuclear arsenal, one that could redefine the shape of military might and strategic deterrence. Donald Trump is ordering the speedy production of advanced nuclear weapons.
We're very powerful. This country is very powerful. Let me tell you, it's far more powerful than people understand. We have weaponry that nobody has any idea what it is, and it is the most powerful weapons in the world that we have. More powerful than anybody, not even close.
Well, Trump isn't revealing, but America is secretly developing a new type of nuclear weapon. Specifically known as the B-6113 program, the new weapons are called gravity bombs. They mark a forward leap in precision-guided nuclear technology. A single B-6113 gravity bomb is 24 times more powerful than the Hiroshima bomb. Gravity bombs are essentially free-falling munitions relying on gravity for kinetic force. They're also the new focus of significant advancements, particularly with the B-6113 program. Dropped from strategic bombers like the B-2 Spirit, the B-61-13, powered by gravity, precisely reaches and destroys hardened, deeply buried targets like bunkers, command centers and silos. The US nuclear arsenal currently includes over 3,700 active warheads. It's a mix of intercontinental ballistic missiles, submarine-launched missiles and strategic bombers. This arsenal is part of the broader nuclear landscape dominated by major world powers. The United States, Russia, China, France, UK, India and Pakistan are among the nations with operational nuclear capabilities. The developments mark a period of high tensions among nuclear-capable nations. The quest for advanced nuclear weapons is a race for strategic advantage in a world where non-proliferation agreements are losing meaning. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
And let's now shift our focus to India. India's defense strategy is evolving, and at the heart of that shift is the Indian Navy. From new fighter jets to powerful new submarines, India's naval force is fast becoming its primary tool of power projection, a strike arm, if you will. And with the introduction of the Rafale M fighter jets, that shift is here. We told you last night, India's purchase of the Rafale M is not just about strengthening India's maritime security, it's part of a broader strategy to boost India's posture in the Indo-Pacific. And to achieve that, New Delhi is making some important moves. It is expanding its naval fleet, it is building new infrastructure, and it's fortifying its forward bases, especially in the Bay of Bengal. We are talking about the military outposts in India's Andaman and Nicobar Islands that India has been quietly upgrading. In short, India's Navy is now the strike arm of India, and the focus is India's eastern seaboard. Let's just have a look at this map to understand why. That is the Bay of Bengal, as you see in the map that is about to come up. It's not just a water body, it is a strategic corridor between the Indian and Pacific Oceans. The Malacca Strait is a key global trade choke point. It lies just east. Nearly 70% of India's energy imports pass through this route. Major Indian ports like Kolkata, Chennai, Visakhapatnam depend on these secure sea lanes. The Andaman and Nicobar Islands, providing a critical vantage point for India, they help India monitor and project power across this region. And so exerting naval strength here is not optional, it is essential, to say the least. And here's why Rafale M really matters. It's not just another jet. This French-made multi-role fighter jet is battle-hardened. It has been operated from the French Navy's Charles de Gaulle aircraft carrier and has seen action in Afghanistan, Libya, Iraq, Syria. Its advantages including advanced avionics, optimized radar and electronic warfare systems, superior dogfighting ability. It is capable of deep strikes, reconnaissance, maritime operations. The Rafale M will fly off India's very own INS Vikramaditya, indigenously built aircraft carrier, the flagship of the Indian Navy, INS Vikramaditya, elevating India into an elite group of carrier-capable countries. And with the Rafale M, the Indian Navy can gain quick strike capability across the Indian Ocean, from the Malacca Strait to the Andaman Sea. But you see, India's Navy is not just adding jets, it's also commissioning an entire new class of warships and submarines. In fact, earlier this year, the Navy inducted a destroyer, a submarine, and a stealth frigate altogether. We are talking about INS Surat, a guided missile destroyer, INS Nilgiri, the first stealth frigate, and INS Vakshir, the sixth Scorpion-class attack submarine. Their induction signaling India's growing self-reliance in defense manufacturing and an expanding naval footprint. Apart from that, India's naval deterrence also, including INS Arihant, INS Arikat, both nuclear-powered ballistic missile submarines. By 2035, India also plans to have a 175-ship navy, prioritizing made-in-India built assets. And to support this growing fleet, India is building critical infrastructure. Take, for example, Project Varsha. India is reportedly set to establish a new nuclear submarine base in coastal Andhra Pradesh next year. The new base will be located near the coastal village of Rambili, located approximately 50 kilometers from the Eastern Naval Command headquarters in Visakhapatnam. It reportedly has underground tunnels to house nuclear submarines. It will allow stealth deployment into the Bay of Bengal and beyond. According to reports, India also looks to commission INS Aridhaman, its third nuclear-powered submarine next year. It's also already, in fact, touted to be larger than its predecessors and reportedly capable of carrying more long-range nuclear missiles. Upon induction, it will strengthen India's nuclear triad, land, air and sea-based deterrence. As for why all of this matters, it's very clear. India's expanding navy is not just about preparing for a future war. It's about ensuring regional stability, energy security, strategic deterrence. Already, the Indian Navy and Coast Guard are the first responders in the Indian Ocean region, whether it's saving stranded vessels, safeguarding cargo, or even responding to humanitarian crises. Still, threats do remain, especially in the eastern seaboard, threats like illegal fishing, smuggling, piracy, terrorism, most significantly, China. China's presence in India's Bay of Bengal also cannot be overstated. It is growing, and Beijing is not even being subtle about it. In August 2024, China sent 3 surveillance ships to the region. In August 2024, China's Xiang Yang Hong 03, Zongshan Da Shui and Yuan Wong 7 were seen operating in the Indian Ocean region, including the Bay of Bengal, raising concerns about potential intelligence gathering and military activities. Before that, in March 2024, its Xiang Yang Hong 01 was spotted near Indian waters. In November 2022, China's Yuan Wong 6 and Yuan Wong 5 were spotted in the region before a scheduled missile test in India. China calls them research vessels. But what they really are spy ships. Therefore, India's naval upgrades, especially in the east, are a direct response to these provocations. The Indian Navy is no longer a supporting arm of the military. It is, in fact, the tip of the spear. Gone are the days when India focused its defense on its land borders, clearly. Shifting focus for now, nearly 17 years after the 26/11 Mumbai terror attacks, one of its key conspirators, Chiharu Rana, is finally in India's custody. In fact, this is the first image of Chiharu Rana in the captivity of NIA officials soon after he landed in India. The image coming shortly after agency officials confirmed his successful extradition to India. That, of course, in fact, is the first image of Chiharu Rana after he arrived in India. As per the NIA statement, he was formally arrested on arrival in New Delhi. The agency, the National Investigation Agency, the NIA, formally arrested Chiharu Rana, the key conspirator in the 26/11 Mumbai terror attacks. Rana's custody could not just give India further leads into the planning and execution of the 26/11 attacks, but also perhaps provide India further details about conspirators behind the 26/11 horrors, perhaps even exposing a greater role of Pakistan and other collaborators. Interrogation of Rana could shed light on how deeply the ISI, the Pakistan Army, and terror outfits were involved in masterminding the attacks. The 64-year-old Pakistani-Canadian citizen was extradited from the United States after all his attempts to evade extradition failed. Rana arrived in New Delhi on Thursday evening on a special aircraft. He is expected to be taken to the headquarters of the National Investigation Agency. amid tight security. Escorted by personnel from Delhi Police's special cell, Rana is later expected to be taken to Delhi's Patiala House Court and presented before a judge for hearing. The Patiala House Court has become a virtual fortress with a heavy presence of Delhi Police and paramilitary forces. Security has also been beefed up in Delhi's Tihar jail, where Rana is reportedly likely to be lodged. The Rana's extradition is seen as a major breakthrough for India. The man is believed to be a close aide of David Headley, the Pakistani-American terrorist who conducted recce missions for the 26/11 attacks. Headley, who is imprisoned in the US, testified that Rana provided both financial as well as logistical support for the 26/11 attacks. 2 years ago, in its supplementary charge sheet, the Mumbai police said Rana arrived in India just 2 weeks before 26/11 and left 5 days prior to the attacks. In its charge sheet, Mumbai police also attached emails exchanged between Rana and Headley regarding the planning of the attacks. According to sources, Rana and Headley spoke on multiple occasions before the 26/11 attacks. So the question remains, after Rana, will Headley be the next to be extradited? India has long said Rana had close ties with Pakistan Army, ISI, Lashkar-e-Toiba. In fact, let's also listen in to what Pakistan's Ministry of External Affairs said when WION posed a question about Rana's nationality.
Rana's extradition has been approved and he's currently en route from the US to India. He's a dual national of Pakistan origin. And if reports are to be believed, he's quote-unquote a financier of the 26/11 attacks. What is Pakistan's comment on that?
The Rana issue, we have conveyed our position regarding his Canadian nationality. And as far as our record indicates, he did not even apply for renewal of his Pakistani origin documents for the last 2 decades. I reiterate position, we will give further updates in due course.
Following preliminary questioning in New Delhi, Rana is expected to be moved to Mumbai for further interrogation. Rana was taken into custody in October 2009 by the FBI on charges of aiding a terror plot against a Danish newspaper. He was convicted for it in 2011. The Israeli ambassador to India thanked the Indian government for its persistence in bringing the terrorist to justice.
Are encouraged to hear about the extradition to India of one of the perpetrators of the terrible and horrendous terrorist attacks that happened in Mumbai on the 26th of November 2008, which took the lives of more than 170 innocent civilians, including Israelis. I would like to thank the government of India for its persistence in bringing the terrorists to justice.
Nariman House, a 6-story building now known as a Chabat House, was one of the targets of the 26/11 attacks. In fact, the building was run at the time by an Orthodox Israeli-Jewish couple who died in the attack. Rana being extradited to India is a major breakthrough. The process ahead could expose further details of what happened in the run-up to the terror attack.
Happiest people in the world would be China. They wouldn't be paying 104%. They'd be paying no percent. We'd be paying them 104%.
The tariff war between the US and China has become bigger than ever before. US President Donald Trump has announced a 90-day tariff pause for most countries after his reciprocal levy started a full-blown tariff war that ended up rattling global markets. However, he did not spare one country. No points for guessing. It's China. Effective immediately, Trump raised tariff rates for Beijing to a staggering 125% from the previously announced 104% tariffs. As you know, moves like these don't just happen without trigger points, and this one followed after China imposed a reciprocal tariff of 84% on American goods in response to the levy hike of the US. Not just that, Trump also cited a lack of respect from Beijing, as he called it. to justify his tariff spike against China. As it stands currently, this has escalated into a mega tit-for-tat tariff war, with neither side showing any signs of backing down. China, in fact, has said it will fight till the end. Recently, it said that Trump's trade war with Beijing, quote-unquote, will end in failure for Washington. And going by its current moves, that resolve only seems to be growing stronger.
China's position is clear and consistent. The door to talks is open, but dialogue must be conducted on an equal basis with mutual respect. China will stand by its position until the end. Pressuring, threatening, and blackmailing are not the correct ways to deal with China.
Remember, this is no ordinary trade war, but one that involves the two biggest economies of the world, and the recent tariff tango sending out a direct message that Washington is coming after Beijing, especially as it has spelled temporary relief for various countries, capping tariffs at 10% for the next 3 months. Therefore, this time around, the tariff against China seems to be more targeted, the implications of which could be far-reaching, with the potential domino effect for other areas. Even as the pressure on China has been building up, China's onshore yuan dropped to its weakest level in nearly 2 decades, reportedly. Trump's tariff halt on other countries made foreign investors breathe a sigh of relief. Global markets turned green on Wednesday. US stocks soared to one of their best days in history. But all of that was yesterday. Today, after the tariff pause, euphoria got a reality check. The S&P 500 dropped over 2.8%, while the tech-heavy Nasdaq Composite tumbled 3.5%. The Dow Jones Industrial Average fell nearly 1,000 points, or 2.2%. In response to Trump's tariff halt on countries, the European Union, China's largest trading partner, has put countermeasures on hold for 90 days, stating that it wants to give negotiation a chance, quote unquote.
We are not going to offer any greater detail at this point about what we are or are not saying to the Americans beyond what we have already said. We want to negotiate. We want to talk. We appreciate that you have brought this pause on so-called reciprocal tariffs, and we in turn are now pausing our proposed countermeasures in order that we have the maximum space to consult with our member states, consult with our industry, and negotiate with the US. We're ready to make deals. Let's talk.
And not just that, tech giant Apple has airlifted reportedly around 600 tons or nearly 1.5 million iPhones from India to the US, reportedly, to avoid heavy import tariffs on made-in-China goods. The firm has also increased production in India to reduce its dependence on China for sourcing the devices it makes and build up an inventory in the US, one of Apple's largest markets, thus marking a huge setback for China, which is the main manufacturing hub for Apple devices. And in a fresh executive order, Trump has urged to revive US shipbuilding, targeting China's maritime dominance in the sector, and also to arm itself against China's rising ambitions in the Indo-Pacific region. As you know, for all wars, there is hardly ever a win-win, and where things currently stand in this economic standoff, the situation is turning complex by the passing days. With no talks about dialogue and diplomacy as of now, this one will have ripple effects in the coming days. And as the United States imposes new sanctions on Iran, Tehran is busy expanding its drone capabilities near its borders. You heard that right. According to Iranian news outlet Mehr News Agency, the Iranian army is expanding and equipping its drone bases across its border. According to the report, the commander of the Iranian Army Ground Forces announced the setting up of these drone bases. Hederi said that the ground force of Iran's army has been using modern as well as advanced weaponry with long-range, precision strike and smart capabilities to counter any threat or conspiracy against Iran's territorial integrity and security of the country. The Iranian commander also said that the country's ground force has now entered the field of producing various UAV systems and micro drones. He said, and I'm quoting here, "With God's help, the Army ground force is now contributing to the Ministry of Defense in the development and production of drones, becoming an integral part of the country's armed forces thanks to our domestic production capabilities. We are currently manufacturing UAVs that meet the diverse operational needs of the ground force." The Iranian armed forces, comprising of the army and the IRGC, its elite unit. Here's why this is big. Iran seems to be touting its military capabilities as well as its readiness at a time when there are tensions with the US, to say the least, over its nuclear program. And they have only escalated, particularly following the reimposition of what's called a maximum pressure policy by the Trump administration. US President Donald Trump has threatened Iran with military action. Trump has demanded Tehran must do a nuclear deal with America or face bombing. And Tehran has denied building a nuclear weapon and has pushed back against Trump's demand for direct talks. Last evening, the Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian said that indirect talks with America were underway, but the Islamic Republic is skeptical about the talks with the US and has expressed deep suspicion over Washington's intentions. And officials from both the countries are expected to hold landmark talks this coming weekend, which are going to be held in Oman via mediators. But the risk of confrontation does remain, of course. Just last month, Iran showed off its vast underground missile city packed with ballistic weapons. In the video broadcast by the Iranian state media, its top military commander, Major General Mohammad Hossein Bagheri, is seen touring the fortified complex. The video also shows Iran's arsenal, including some of its most sophisticated missiles, such as the Khyber-Shekin, Sejil, and Pawade land attack cruise missiles. It was a message, of course, to the US and its allies. The US, for that matter, has also recently sent its B-2 bombers to its Pacific outposts in Diego Garcia, an air base that could be used for strikes in West Asia. In fact, the US Defense Secretary has also said that it was up to Iran to decide whether the recent US move was a message to Tehran. On Wednesday, Trump had suggested that Israel could lead a potential military strike against Iran if Tehran does not abandon its nuclear weapons program. But Iran has also doubled down on US pressure. Tehran has pushed back against Trump's warnings of military action, saying that it will not be cowed by threats. And now it plans to construct more drone bases across the country, though specific locations have not yet been disclosed. Apart from advancing its drone capabilities, including surveillance and attack systems, Iran has also reportedly exported them to countries like Russia. And by now, we all know about Iran's Shahed drones used by Russian troops in the Ukraine war. In February, Iran also unveiled its first drone carrier warship, showing a significant expansion of its naval capabilities. According to reports, Iran has said it is committed to maintaining constant military readiness, as per the orders from its supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. And this is particularly in the face of repeated US threats of attack. Remember, efforts to settle the dispute over Iran's nuclear program, which Tehran maintains is purely for civilian use, have gone on for more than 20 years without resolution. In 2015, it was Trump who tore up the deal between Iran and 6 world powers, the US, Russia, China, France, Britain, Germany. Talks since then have stalled. But now, with West Asia on fire, the US president's warnings of military action have evidently jangled nerves across the region. And before we go on, here's a quick look at what else is lined up for you on the show tonight. Ukraine's top general has called to recruit 30,000 new soldiers every month. What's behind the move and what could the repercussions be? As the US imposes new sanctions on Iran, Tehran is expanding its drone capabilities. Can owning a pet help your mood just as much as your spouse can? We tell you why this question is being asked and what a new study says. First, Israeli airstrikes struck its arsenal, and then they battered its supply routes in Syria. And later, the IDF alleged Tehran was using civilian aircraft to smuggle cash to Beirut, in the process banning flights between Lebanon and Iran. But despite all these roadblocks, Hezbollah and Iran seem to have found alternative ways to continue arming the Lebanese group. And according to Iranian and Saudi Arabian reports, Hezbollah is using a sea-based route to receive cash, equipments, and arms from Iran, with Iran's elite Quds forces overseeing the operation. And how exactly are they doing that? Well, there are various layers to this. The shipment either comes directly via Iran or through intermediary countries, with Unit 190 and Unit 700 of Iran's Quds forces overseeing the operation on behalf of Tehran, while in Beirut, Hezbollah reportedly has a network of agents inside the customs and port oversight bodies and among port workers to receive the supply, bypassing any kind of government inspection, with senior Hezbollah member Wafik Safa reportedly supervising the operations in Lebanon. According to the reports, Hezbollah now has complete control over the Beirut port. The port, if you remember, was devastated in the August 2020 explosion, when ammonium nitrate stored at the port caught fire, leading to an enormous blast that killed hundreds of people and caused severe infrastructure damage across the Lebanese capital. Besides Israeli bombardment of Syrian land supply routes, another reason Hezbollah and Iran have opted for the maritime route is because of the overthrowing of Bashar al-Assad in November last year by the HTS rebels. That made transferring of weapons via land more complicated, and with the HTS reportedly stopping or seizing a large number of shipments heading towards Hezbollah via Iran. While internally, Lebanon's government has also carried out similar such operations, seizing weapons and cash both at the Syrian border and at the Beirut International Airport, going as far as diverting flights from Iran midway, after reportedly receiving intel from Israel that the planes were carrying ammunition and money intended for Hezbollah. Just to recap this for you, Israel and Hezbollah were engaged in a 13-month war which claimed more than 4,000 lives that ended following a ceasefire in November last year. And according to Israeli estimates, the war left Hezbollah with just 20 to 30% of its weaponry, thereby making its rearming all the more significant. From both Hezbollah and its closest ally Iran's perspective, despite the ceasefire, Israel still continues to control 5 major points across southern Lebanon, with Hezbollah now reportedly ready to disarm. Only if Israel withdraws from these locations. At this point, whether Israel withdraws from southern Lebanon or Hezbollah disarms remains unclear. Regardless of the outcome, though, Hezbollah is rearming through one way or the other, and that is extremely significant. In Ukraine, where an endless, bloody war continues to rage, its top general has called to recruit 30,000 new soldiers every month. You heard that right. Amid mounting casualties on the battlefield and a war that is showing no signs of abating, Ukraine's commander-in-chief has said that Kiev must mobilize 30,000 soldiers every month in order to sustain the war against the Russian army. And here's the kicker. Just weeks ago, Ukraine launched a new voluntary military contract program. The recruitment plan basically targets men between the ages of 18 and 24. So what we are talking about here is young men, some barely out of school, who are being called to join that war. Despite the fact that Ukraine is facing Western pressure to lower the conscription age, but Ukraine, which continues to be outgunned on the battlefield, is facing a major manpower shortage. Just have a look at these visuals on your screen. These are visuals from the battlefield. Today, April 10, Russian forces struck Ukrainian military targets, military equipment, Ukrainian personnel in multiple locations. In Kharkiv, in Donetsk, in the past 24 hours. In fact, Russia is said to have launched 55 drones towards targets in Ukraine. On the same day, Russian drones attacked the Ukrainian capital Kiev and the southern city of Mykolaiv. Overnight, at least 12 people were reportedly injured in the attack. In Kiev, the Russian drone attack sparked a fire at a storage facility, damaging residential buildings. According to Ukraine, at least 30 drones entered the airspace of the capital city. Evidently, the Russian forces continue to inflict heavy losses on Ukraine. And if it wasn't clear earlier, the disparity between the two militaries has never been more apparent.
If there were 1,000 to 1,500 of them joining a brigade, then the average age would be around 33 to 35. The number is a drop in the sea as of now.
In an interview published by the Ukrainian outlet, the Ukrainian top commander claimed that Russia can mobilize up to 5 million trained and experienced troops. According to the Ukrainian commander, Russian forces have increased five-fold since the war started in 2022. He says that Russia increases its forces by 8,000 to 9,000 every month. And he is not wrong, by the way. Russia has shown remarkable ability to replenish its forces, even if that means pushing young soldiers onto the battlefield. And while Russia has avoided a full nationwide draft, it has largely relied on contract soldiers and financial incentives to recruit volunteers. Last year itself, the Russian president claimed that more than 1,000 volunteers were signing contracts each day to go to the front. The Ukrainian general says that in some frontline areas, Russian troops outnumber the Ukrainians by a ratio of 10 to 1. And if that's accurate, it just shows just how much strain Ukraine is facing. Following the war, Ukraine declared a general mobilization, barring most men between the ages of 18 and 60 from leaving the country. But in recent months, that have been marred by corruption and draft dodging. In response, Ukraine last year lowered the conscription age to 25, introducing stricter penalties for draft evasion and desertion. The acting head of the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement has drawn attention and criticism after comparing the deportation of immigrants to package delivery services. Speaking at the 2025 Border Security Expo in Phoenix, the acting ICE director, Todd Lyons, outlined a vision for mass deportations that mirrors corporations like Amazon, reportedly. Lyons openly stated that he wants the ICE to adopt deportation process like Amazon Prime, but with human beings, quote unquote. Lyons was referring to Amazon Prime, only instead of delivering products, the ICE would be rounding up and deporting human beings. In his words, I'm quoting here, "We need to get better at treating this like a business." Going as far as to suggest a future where artificial intelligence helps the ICE identify illegal immigrants faster. In his words, help fill planes quicker and free up bed space in detention facilities. The remarks came during a panel featuring several top figures from the Trump administration. Alongside Lyons was Trump's border czar, Tom Homan, and U.S. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem. The trio made it clear that immigration enforcement remains central to the administration's second-term agenda. The speakers further praised the Alien Enemies Act, the 1798 law most infamously used during World War II to intern Japanese Americans. That has now become prominent in the Trump administration's efforts to deport illegal immigrants. Lyons reportedly called the act, quote-unquote, amazing. He further revealed that the ICE is working with Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency to access Social Security data to help identify potential voter fraud. ICE reportedly arrested nearly 1,400 immigrants within the first months of Trump's second term. Under newly broadened enforcement guidelines, every undocumented immigrant is now considered a priority for removal, regardless of past compliance or length of stay in the US. ICE is reportedly exploring partnerships with tech companies to streamline detention and deportation logistics. Experts have said that this reliance on big data and algorithmic systems disregards human dignity and treats immigrant communities as just statistics, not people. Several immigration policy analysts have said that such a model basically reduces complex human situations to data points in a system designed for speed and not justice. The Leon statements, the aggressive enforcement measures by the ICE and the adoption of technologies painting a stark picture of Trump administration's approach to immigration. Centralized and data-driven, in a way without taking into account the human factor, perhaps. Moving on for now, Kash Patel has been removed as the acting head of the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms and Explosives, the ATF. According to reports, Patel had not been seen at an ATF facility for weeks. He has now been replaced by U.S. Army Secretary Daniel Driscoll, who will take on both the roles. Patel, however, still holds on to his position as the FBI director. He was sworn in as the acting ATF leader on the 24th of February, just 3 days after being sworn in as FBI director. It was unusual for one person to be appointed to lead two major Justice Department units simultaneously. A Justice Department official, in fact, confirmed that his removal from the ATF Bureau had nothing to do with his job performance. However, no specific reason was provided for the move. White House spokesperson Harrison Fields has said Patel's role at the ATF was always intended to be temporary while awaiting Senate confirmations. He added that Director Patel is now doing an excellent job at the FBI and delivering strong results. In fact, Patel's removal from the ATF has come just after a major drug bust of over $500 million, more than 48,000 pounds of illicit narcotics worth over $509 million seized at Port Everglades in South Florida. The U.S. Attorney General announced the drug bust, saying that the seizure is a major blow to drug cartels.
It's a textbook example of the Justice Department supporting the fight against violent crime. These drugs are worth over $500 million.
And after the seizure, Kash Patel has vowed to get all the drugs off the streets. The FBI director added that the operation to seize the drugs represents a whole of government approach that brings every resource together.
This is what it looks like when the United States whole of government approach brings every resource to bear, from the Department of Defense and the United States Coast Guard, from HSI, from FBI, from DEA, and so many others. They are going to get all the drugs off the streets, off the markets, and as Attorney General Bondi said, we are going to lock them up. They are no longer going to be free to roam.
Shifting focus, U.S. President Donald Trump has his hands full with the global trade war, but that did not stop him from fulfilling one of his longtime priorities on Wednesday: to end what he calls a war on showers. The U.S. president has signed an order to roll back Biden-era conservation regulations that basically limit pressure for shower heads and other water appliances, calling the rules ridiculous. You have to listen to this.
Next up, sir, we have a series of executive orders and a memorandum all relating to deregulation, which has obviously been a major priority of your administration. The first of these is an executive order. The Biden administration launched what you've called a war on showers. They had certain regulations that basically killed the water pressure of showers and other water appliances.
You can say it. Go ahead. What are the appliances?
So, I mean, it's everything, sir. Dishwashers, toilets, sinks. But the shower heads are...
There's no water. You don't get water. It's ridiculous.
The president also poked fun at the regulation, saying nobody wants a low-flow shower head. He went on to tell officials and the journalists present that he likes to take a nice shower to take care of his beautiful hair.
I like to take a nice shower to take care of my beautiful hair. I have to stand under the shower for 15 minutes till it gets wet. It comes out drip, drip, drip. It's ridiculous.
They say don't judge a book by its cover, and perhaps it doesn't ring truer for anyone now than Michelle Obama. A lot has been written and said about the former First Lady, including that she could be setting herself up for a divorce from her husband, former US President Barack Obama. But how much of all of this is true after all? Recently appearing in a podcast, Michelle Obama addressed these claims head-on, some of which sprung from her reported absence from key political events in recent times. And these were further compounded by a lot of chatter about her marital trouble, so-called marital trouble. But what did Michelle Obama have to say? Michelle Obama says that she was making a choice for herself, a choice out of her own free will of stepping back and making time for herself. She said, and I'm quoting, "I could have made a lot of these decisions years ago, but I did not give myself that freedom," quote unquote. Her divorce rumors first surfaced when Michelle Obama notably skipped US President Donald Trump's second inauguration as well as the state funeral of former President Jimmy Carter back in January. Shedding light on her absence, Michelle Obama says that after working in the White House for 8 straight years, while managing motherhood with 2 adult children, she finally has the opportunity to control her own calendar. She further went on to say that and talk about how women often grapple with the guilt of saying no or setting boundaries, often at the cost of disappointing others. But Michelle Obama insists that now is the time to show up for the causes she really cares about as a woman and script her own story. It needs no mention that Michelle Obama is a woman of influence. Lots of young girls and women look up to her as a source of inspiration. Michelle and Barack Obama have often been touted as a power couple, with their marriage spanning over 30 years. Having said that, Michelle Obama did say that being in politics is no easy business and that her husband's presidency had strained their relationship. In her memoir, Becoming, she described periods of deep fatigue and emotional isolation that are part and parcel of the job. We often place public figures or those with influence at a high pedestal, often forgetting that they are human beings first, just like all of us, with their personal highs and lows. And they also deserve compassion and empathy instead of guesswork, instead of rumors and speculation. Shifting focus now to Japan. Japanese badminton star Chiharu Shida has been making headlines for reasons beyond her sporting prowess. She is dealing with the flip sides of fan culture. Unfortunate. Getting stalked and harassed. In fact, in an Instagram post, the 27-year-old called on her fans in China to stop following her and invading her personal space. She claimed that she had repeatedly been the target of intense stalking, something which has affected her mental health. She said, and I'm quoting here, "We have been stalked every time we compete in China. It has already been going on for a year and a half. Recently, we have been feeling very uncomfortable and very scared. And this is by no means an isolated event." As Shida went on to say that every time she had competed in China in the past 18 months, she had encountered stalkers. The athlete, who won a bronze medal in the women's doubles at the Paris Olympics last year, has amassed quite a huge fan base in China. Besides her athletic capabilities, she has often been praised for her beauty as well and is often referred to as the most beautiful badminton player on social media. In fact, in recent years, China's government has tried to curb extreme fandom after sports stars and other celebrities experienced stalking and other abuse from online followers. Stalking, be it physical or online, is a serious offense and may also lead to cyberbullying in the internet space. And that comes with consequences in various countries. There is a thin line between fandom and frenzy, and everyone must honor that. Cartier's most iconic pieces will be put up for an exhibition at London's V&A Museum. From tiaras worn by queens to necklaces loved by celebrities, rare, never seen before jewels will be up on display at that exhibition. Here's a quick look into centuries of luxury. Singapore's Changi Airport is in the news again. It has been crowned the world's best airport for the 13th time. And its bathrooms have been talked about. The Air Transport Rating Organization rated the Changi Airport as the best airport, reclaiming the world's best airport title from Doha's Hamad. In fact, the airport has been recognized for being a gastronomic wonderland, offering fine dining experience to the flyers. But interestingly, more so because of its world-class washrooms and its ultra-modern, innovative features that make passenger experience a breeze. As you know, in a standard flight, passengers usually have access to one or at best two lavatories for every 50 people approximately, and the number may increase for larger flights. As a result, passengers increasingly rely on airport washrooms to freshen up, and a superior washroom facility just adds to the entire travel experience. Just for context here, Changi Airport is often dubbed as a destination in itself, where early check-in has been introduced to allow passengers to drop their bags off for up to 48 hours before their flight so that they can make the most of their time at the airport, strolling at the shopping area or roaming around the sprawling indoor gardens, minus the baggage headache. From the looks of it, the authorities at the Changi Airport are committed to delivering an unmatchable passenger experience for the young and the old. Clearly, it's a model that works like a charm. The question is, can other airports in other parts of the world also catch up? And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of Gravitas Tonight. This is me, Molly Gambhir, signing off. Thanks for watching.
To bring the benefits of the Subhash Chandra Show to your educational institution, teachers and students, send an invitation to Juhi Jha at juhi@such.org.in.
As Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively's legal matter heats up, we tell you about some of the biggest celebrity lawsuits of all time.
यहाँ धर्म और जाति के नाम पर लोगों को लड़ाना बड़ा ही सरल है.
Meet Indian actor Pratik Gandhi as he talks about Phule. And dive into the musical world with Sarod maestro Ustad Amjad Ali Khan. All this and much more with me, Diksha Bisla, on WION at these times. Ready to dive into your daily dose of news?
Bringing you what's trending in the West and all that's setting trends in the East.
And all of this served up with a side of insightful banter.
We don't just bring you the latest stories.
We bring you your talking points for the day.
And while you do that, from the busy streets of New York, I will provide you with deeper insights on the developments through the course of the day in the U.S.
The show that keeps you ahead of the global curve. A conversation you'd want to be a part of.
A place where news becomes an engaging exchange.
We bring you stories that impact your present.
This is World DNA.
Join the conversation.
This week on the West Asia Post, tensions over Iran's nuclear program continue to mount. Can US President reach a nuclear deal with Iran the second time around? While Trump reiterates that Gaza war will end soon.
Well, I'd like to see the war stop, and I think the war will stop at some point.
Netanyahu stays non-committal to a permanent ceasefire. Also on the show, we tell you what preconditions Hezbollah has set for disarmament and opposition's challenge to Turkey's Erdogan. Watch the West Asia Post with me, Redi Francis, every Friday at these times, only on WION World is One.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening, as we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch.
The Earth is sending distress signals. Wildfires, droughts, and melting glaciers. Can we reverse the damage? Explore the harrowing effects of climate change. It's a wake-up call. Global emergency. Climate Tracker on WION World is One.
WION, India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide, because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION, World is One.
The African Growth and Opportunity Act AGOA thrown into disarray following President Trump's tariffs on African countries, including Lesotho. The tariffs could be a death knell for US-Africa trade parked. South Africa, Zimbabwe and the AU react. A wedding becomes emblematic of Eastern Congo's ongoing turmoil as M23 control over the region leaves couples in legal limbo. And teams from all over the world take to the pitch at the annual Granny's World Cup in South Africa's far north, with 30-minute games played at a slow but purposeful pace. Watch World of Africa at these times on WION. World is One.